Yeah, we are now live.
Good to go.
Okay, so
Okay,
let me remove the other pins.
let me pump this thing out. Hang
So
on.
you have co-host rights as well.
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Okay. Let me switch over to this one. Where are you? Here it is. Share.
We're now live. Pretty much. Okay, so remove the pins.
There we go. It should be this one. You, you see my ski bar?
So, Matt, as you set up, I'm just gonna try to benchmark the room and see where we are and who we have in the house. So, for sure, I know we have people from three different continents. I know we have the Caribbean people, Shanika, Trisha. Do we have Ian in the house today? Yeah, Ian's in the house. Yo, you guys are always representing. Yo, big up yourselves, man, my Caribbean people. If there's any other Caribbean person in the house, just drop a flag and say a big up yourself to yourself for making it today. It's literally the penultimate class today. Tomorrow is the last day of class, and we get into our assignments, like get that proper sorted. Yo, big up to my Kenyan people. Yo, first of all, I really have to big up Paul Makolaka. Right now, Paul is literally driving outside of my rural village. So if you're from Kenya, you have your home, like Nairobi, and then you have the people in the Bundus. So Paul, big up yourself, drive safe, man. Marcella, I think Paul is somewhere near you right about now. He's somewhere in Busia heading to Bungoma. So, Paul, big up yourself, travel safe. My Nigeria people, mad love for you. Like today, I'm just feeling for that semo and egusi soup, like proper vibes with some nice hot pepper. Yo, my people in America, big up yourselves. The Texan people in the house, what are we doing, man? Devon, big up yourself. Adila, Adela, Matt, Adam, Chris, yo, USA in the house. Yo, do we have some Brooklyn people in the house, some New York people in the house, man? Like, yo, I love Miami. I'm always in Miami. So, but yo, other area codes we're representing as well. So, Matt, I'm gonna hand over to you. We have a beautiful crowd here today. The attendees are on fire. So, come on, let's go. Take it away.
Appreciate it.
All
And I'm a future Caribbean guy myself here, hopefully one day, right?
right.
So props
Yo,
to all
hold
you
up,
guys out
man.
there.
Hold up, hold up. We actually can't see you, bro. Guys have to see
Oh, come
you.
on.
Guys have
Hang
to
on.
see you first, bro.
How do I start my video here? Hang on. Start video. There you go. Good.
Yeah.
There you
There you
go.
go. All right, cool. Let's get cracking.
Don't confuse me for Adam when you see him.
Yo, the bald heads are in the house today.
It's the stress from
Represent.
tracing crypto, Brian. That's what it is, man.
All right, cool.
So I appreciate you having me as my second round with you doing these. So I appreciate the opportunity. So you guys know who I am. I am a detective with the state police in Connecticut. For those of you not from here, it is the Northeast. We are between New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. We're kind of a nice little intermediary state between those, big pass through. So if you think of cryptocurrency, we're the intermediary wallet between the other wallets. We just do a lot of the we get a lot of cases for trafficking and things like that because of that. But what we're going to discuss today, I'm just going to kind of touch on how we handle our basic cryptocurrency investigations, where they come from, what they look like. If there are questions, Brian, just hit me up. I'll stop wherever I am so I can I'll just flow through so that we can get to Adam and Gabby and everybody else. Um, so part of my responsibilities as a detective for our agency, but outside of crypto, is general investigative stuff. So we do robberies and homicides as well. So this is kind of like I don't want to call it a side hustle, it becomes a full hustle because it's all I do at this point. But I also a task force officer with the Secret Service. So basically any case that I have that I deem meets certain criteria, we can take it federally. So I can do things, the same things federal agents can, like seize assets certain ways and things like that. So it's a good opportunity to work cases at a larger scale when needed, especially when we're talking seizures in these particular cases. So hopefully this thing moves now. There we go. So just looking at the landscape of cryptocurrency and what we deal with at our agency, we don't get as many of the larger cases as you would see, like if you would see like press releases from Department of Justice with these huge asset forfeitures and web domain takedowns. I feel like state and local agencies, we actually are seeing the beginnings of the large scale operations because all of these usually start at a low level and they wind up commingling to larger cases down the road. So we'll see anything from your traditional pig butchering investigations, scams. We get Ponzi schemes. A recent one that comes to mind is like this was about a year and a half ago now, but it was an ETH investment scam, um, fake platform, but it's U.S. based, so the actors are in the U.S., not outside, which was surprising to us. We get a couple of initial coin offering frauds here and there, some rug pulls, things like that, and then we've had a decent amount of wallet attacks actually recently, whether it's a direct attack to someone's wallet or they've by accident been phished with a illicit wallet address and they send it to that wallet by accident and the money's moving very quickly. So we get those as well. But we do spend unfortunately a large portion of our time with the frauds. When we do find spare moments, we do try work proactive investigations. So we will work dark web cases uh, so we can connect them to illicit markets in Connecticut if they're selling narcotics or receiving, or CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material. We look for those as well, and a lot of those actually derive from cryptocurrency kiosks. So we look at those pretty heavily here in the state as well. Um, so this is kind of like our breakdown of investigative techniques, what we really focus on. And when we're talking blockchain, obviously we like to use analytical tools because of speed is of the essence for all of our cases. Um, so we use the transaction and data we get from our victims or reporting parties. And we usually ingest that into our software that we use. We have contracts with a couple companies, and we use those to speed the process up. But we also can't rely on those, so we do open source, through EtherScan or TronScan or any other scans that are out there because sometimes the tools just don't know everything. So we do use those as well. And then we kind of combine that with some other forensic capabilities. So whether that's if it's we're talking like a wallet hack, we'll have our computer crimes people, download a phone or a laptop or anything along those lines to try and get records. And certain software tools that we use actually talk to the blockchain software. So if we did do like a phone extraction or something like that, we were able to locate anything involving virtual assets on that device a lot faster. So we do that on occasion. And then we kind of look at the actual case building process. So for us, we need to obviously, if we're going to be seizing something or trying to locate a subject, we need to provide our state's attorney's offices with like evidence of that. So we need to work our cases like fully through in order to prove our investigation. And I'll kind of touch on one of those as we move on here really further on. So how we get our cases, it comes in like a variety of different ways. Mainly, we get them direct from our own agency. We have troopers on the road that respond to 911 calls or calls for service, and we will get our calls from those traditionally. So the victims report, through the typical channels, 911 or whatever, or a not emergency number, and they report it, and the trooper goes out, responds, gets the information, and if they know us well enough, they'll call us directly and we can start the process there. Otherwise, sometimes we get the case a couple days or so down the road. Um, and some of the other ways we get them are our local administrative agencies, local, like when I say administrative, I think like Attorney General's office or our Department of Banking. And then we also get them from our cities, local towns. So the way Connecticut's set up, which many other states are set up, we have us as the agency that kind of is the governing body of law enforcement. Then each town has their own, not at each town, but most towns have their own. And like major cities like Hartford, Bridgeport have their own police departments. So if they were to get a case and needed help, they would reach out to us. Um, and the same, we obviously scrape ic3.gov, which is the FBI's reporting. We scrape chain abuse, which is from TRM Labs. You scrape that, and then there's a couple other things like Verify Wallet, which you'll probably hear about in a little while, that we like to work with as well. And we look for a variety of things when we're in these. Obviously we look for freshness of cases, timeliness. So our goal in all these really is to just to locate and freeze and seize assets as quickly as possible. So if the case is pretty old, we won't really look to spend as much time on those as we would if we were looking at something that was more timely. And that's typically like the Attorney General's office complaints and the IC3 Gov ones are usually a little bit older cases typically. So the ones we get direct from our own agencies are usually a little more timely. So we actually created this email that you see on here now, because we were getting so inundated from our own email, that we created our virtual currency email just so we can kind of segregate all those separate emails into one inbox so we can get killed with those.
Matt, quick
Yep.
question. Are
Yes,
you
sir.
are you able to crank up your volume, please?
My volume.
Yeah.
Mm, I don't know.
Or
Might
have your mic closer to you?
closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll try. Thanks,
All right,
Zoom.
cool.
Is that any better? I don't know.
I think it sounds better. I
Okay.
think, yeah. All right, cool.
All right.
Sorry. All right, cool.
Good. Okay. So case study wise, I'm going to touch on a couple of cases, just so you guys can get a flavor of the month, what we deal with here. Um, so these are this is like the bread and butter of what we work on, obviously, investment scam recoveries. Usually the MO that we see is older Americans typically, but that's not always the case. We do have people who are getting scammed that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way up. So, but this is the typical, say, 70-ish year old that's contacted via SMS or a DM from any of the, meta-based platforms, or just a, text message generally. And a conversation's struck up, and they, engage in conversation for like months at a time. And throughout that process, usually we'll see some kind of idea of investment opportunity come to them from the scammer. And, that's partly because during the conversation they have the actors, purport to be wealthy in some capacity. They won't directly say that, but they'll talk about how they're going to go buy their uncle a Rolex watch at the local Rolex store, or they'll take pictures of themselves and they'll be inside a Porsche or something like that. So they make it obvious that they, supposedly come from wealth, so that when we're looking at these cases, that's kind of like the underlying typology, because the victims will believe the subjects actually have money because they've seen these images. So it's an indirect kind of rapport building of wealth. So as they invest in these platforms, typically they will onboard crypto from any of the U.S. based exchanges, Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com, and from there, I'm sure you guys are aware, they move these onto unhosted wallets, to these scam websites that are developed and operated usually out of Southeast Asia, typically. Um, and our goal with those is, like I said in the beginning, is to trace these, right? So when I'm looking at these cases as they come in, I usually ask them to give me, and I was actually just tracing one as Brian, we started this call. I usually try and get their most recent transactions, obviously, because the older ones, they're not going to, those don't really mean as much to us at the point. So we're going to try and start with the most fresh. and we'll trace those out as quickly as possible to determine where where they're winding up. And if we could put a freeze on that wallet, or we can contact an exchange, we'll do that and try and get that. And part of what we've done in building our program at State Police here is we've built like a pretty good network of people. So if we do have an instance of it going to a specific exchange, um, or any kind of crypto related company, stands chance we probably have a contact there. So we'll reach out to them directly and hope to get those, those assets frozen at least until we can determine whether or not they are definitively ours or what. And that gives us time to get legal process, because we can't just seize anything, unfortunately. We have to produce, obviously legal process to say, hey, those assets are ours, and this is why we believe they're ours. We can prove it because of this. So we'll get those drafted up, and that could be either through our own state agency, or we like I said, we can pull it going federally as well. So if we do see that that wallet is like extensively dirty and holding a significant amount of funds that we can prove is related to money laundering or some other um, illicit act, we can take it federally and just take the entire wallet, and seize those under the money laundering clause. So in this particular case, the one I'm referencing here was pretty recent. Some of these were facilitated via a CoinHub ATM machine, and they were I mean, these don't really take a lot of hops. Many times you could see like a pretty easy trajectory. So I'll show you like what we look at. And this was kind of like what we were looking at for simplicity of trace. I merged it to make it less complex, but there was I was probably like 15 intermediary wallets in between these originating transactions, kind of, and they do that for purposes of laundering, so they can kind of confuse us. It wastes our time looking through all these extra hops, and gives them more opportunity to move the money to get it to one of these exchanges. So in this particular instance, we were able to get it to a known exchange that we work with, and we're able to get a freeze order on that wallet. And because of those relationships we've developed over the years, we were able to pretty quickly get the assets, at least a portion of them, recovered before they offload them. When we're looking at investment scams, I guess more specifically, they'll they like to change assets purposefully to again confuse. So typically, we'll see Bitcoin as the main asset used, but then the minute it gets to an exchange, they'll swap it, whether it's on a DEX or right at the exchange level, using like their OTP or something like that. They'll move it to USDT on Tron's network, and they'll start just commingling like crazy and moving assets. So then it's just kind of a race against time to hopefully get it to another compliant exchange where we can freeze and seize it. But in this case, we're able to recover, I think, about half of what the person lost. So that was a successful recovery. Um, you guys good question or anything, bro? You guys are all set? Let me check the chat real quick.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, do you have any partnerships with companies where, let's say, you have a non-compliant cryptocurrency where you're decentralized, there's no one that can actually authoritatively freeze these coins. Do you
Mhm.
have partnerships with like Amazon or other these like major companies that do accept crypto to not accept from those wallets, or is it simply the cryptos that you actually have partnerships with?
No, so yeah, we do have partnerships with other organizations, and there is a method that we have that, and this doesn't work in every instance, obviously, because depending on the token or the exchange it goes to, it may or may not work. But we can blocklist addresses, and so when we do that, there's a mechanism we do that by. But if we do that, where that receiving exchange basically has been made aware of, hey, this wallet address is dirty. So if you receive it, please freeze it and let us know that that's happened. So that's definitely a part of our process. But like I said, that bad guys know kind of know what we do. So a lot of these exchanges that they choose to utilize don't recognize our lawful authority. So they'll just offload it and move it to some other peer-to-peer service or something like that. Or in some instances, I know um, kiosks are a pretty big mechanism, so they can very easily just withdraw from a kiosk at in the nation that they're residing in. So it's always an issue as well. Good question though. Let me see where we are. So another good case example, again, and I'm showing you obviously success cases here, but by and large, there's a lot of not successes because of time and reporting and all that. So, but in this particular case, this was an account takeover, wallet hack, and it was actually, as far as we could tell, it was actually not on the fault of the wallet owner. They took procedures and protocols to actually use a two-factor USB called a YubiKey, and and had some other mechanisms in place as well in order to use his device. So we believe it was more than likely a service hack, probably directly out this guy's wallet. Um, but they took this particular token, $60,000 US dollar worth of it, and they did it in the middle of the night. So he woke up to a empty wallet, which is always exciting. Um, and they moved it. Took a couple hops to a compliant U.S. exchange, which was great. And then, like I mentioned before, partnerships and kind of like the other gentleman asked, because of our partnerships, we were able to look at exposure on the wallets as they were progressing the transactions, and we could see that this particular wallet had indirect exposure to certain exchanges, so we can kind of get a jump on notification a lot of times. So blockchain analytics is like super important for a lot of these because we can do things like that in advance sometimes. So working with the particular wallet company and the exchange, we were able to trace through a DEX and get to the exchange level that it went to and where it was swapped, and we're able to freeze it and then wind up seizing it through the federal side because they had commingled it with other USDT at that point. So it was obvious that because this was a hack and the way that the money was moving, that the entirety of the wallet was actually dirty. So we were going to take the whole thing. So why let bad guys have free money? So that's our motto. And so we're in the process of actually getting those funds back as we speak. But that was a good success case using, um, people we know, friends in the industry, as well as really good blockchain analytics tools and resources. So let me see. So some of the challenges we have, and we kind of like mentioned them as we were going through these, is like just the how things rapidly evolve here, right? There's a million different tokens in the world, and techniques of how these scammers are using, AI now and stuff like that to make things more challenging. There's obviously cross-border and cross-jurisdiction issues for us. So if they do go to a jurisdiction that the U.S. doesn't work with, it's an issue. We are seeing some instances of privacy coins, and obviously mixers are always a problem. Though those usually seem to be more of like nation state type of situations, not so much the local scam level. And then, resources too, right? Expertise gaps. A lot of our agencies don't have someone that's qualified to do this. So getting help a lot of times is difficult when we maybe trace these to some place that doesn't have a jurisdiction like that. And here's like one of the biggest problems, right? And the challenges. So um, this is KK Park, right? A pretty famous image of scam compound in Myanmar. That's 2020 on the left, 2024 on the right. We're looking at, a multi-billion-dollar industry that's operated under a transnational organized crime group, to the point where they're actually funding um, psychologists and people of that nature to develop rapport building tactics and education for their scammers so that they can be better at their jobs. So that's kind of what we're dealing with when we're talking about evolving tactics, right? And if you would include AI into that, it just becomes a nightmare for law enforcement globally to deal with this. So I think collectively working together is going to be a big issue. Um, so and we're running down. So recommendations on like compliance and prevention. Now, some people probably deal with some of this stuff over there, but obviously education I think is the biggest part of this whole thing. Um, we are we really look at that as a extremely strong pillar of how to stop this from happening in the first place, right? Getting out into the public and in the media and pushing education as best you can so everybody understands what it is, what the tactics are, the opportunities that these people will generate for potential victims. So we get that out there as quickly as possible, and we try and do that through developing relationships, right? So we work with a lot of NGOs and a lot of state government and federal government agencies as well, to keep this relationship open, as well as software and blockchain intelligence companies. Um, and we can't do any of that without like proper documentation, because all of our stuff is legally bound. So we have to really, make sure we write a good report, write a good search warrant. Otherwise, it's not going to be held up in court, and it kind of gives us a bad look if we start doing like poor seizures. So these are some of the main things that we think are like really important for anybody trying to get into cryptocurrency investigative work, whether it's compliance or like the law enforcement side. It's like these are like the main pillars that we look to um, uphold as much as possible. So I have 5 minutes left, and I want to leave that for any other additional questions for you guys. Mohammed, I see your hand up.
Yo, Mohammed, do you want to unmute yourself or do you want me to read the question you posted instead?
Ozian, that's
Hey,
his right there.
hello, good evening.
Yeah, Mohammed, what's up, man? Where are you coming from, man?
I'm from Nigeria.
Big up yourself. Big up yourself. Hey, bro.
So my question here is, there was a case actually I kind of followed because it's on EOS network where there are multiple scams going on, in which there are a lot of wallets, but I end up getting to the wallet in which all the payment are centralized. So what I want to know is it like I tried contacting the EOS network, but I just got ignored, and it's just like I don't want to do anything about it. So is there a way I can, let's say, get other people, like proper authorities, to investigate the case?
So so you're saying it's on the EOS network, it's on their blockchain.
Yes.
So I mean, I would look at, and I don't know if Adam would know either, but there's got to be, usually a lot of these have foundations involved. So like, Ethereum Foundation or whatever. So I would try and get a contact at one of those, because if it's affecting their network directly, I'm sure they'd want to know about it, obviously. And I probably Discord and Twitter, they probably get destroyed with comments and posts and stuff like that. So I would try and find and see if they have like a support email address for the foundation, and contact them that way, so you can get it into them, and then it doesn't get mixed into the DMs that they get daily.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Mohammed. Matt, there's this question, like
hmm
YubiKey is typically based on touch. How did
hmm
they get around that?
We don't know, honestly. It's a really good question. So we think that that's why we think it was an internal hack potentially for that particular company. Obviously, I want to dime them out because they're trying to fix the issue.
Right.
But I think that it was it was something on their end, because he took all the proper protocols. He's very tech savvy and has been dealing in crypto for several years. So for him to make the error didn't seem as believable as it did if it was more like a network intrusion or something like that on the other end. So
Okay, thanks. There's two questions. Moses Mrima Mbanga, you want to unmute yourself and then we'll get Shanika's question.
Yeah, sure. Thank you
Right.
for the opportunity. And thank you, Matt, for the concise presentation. I
you're
have
welcome.
two questions. Number one, apart from blockchain explorers, what other tools do you use from day to day to do this investigation, to do the intel part of, to do the intel and the
Mhm.
investigation? And
Yeah.
number two, in my current role, I'm a smart contract security engineer. Basically, we audit smart contracts for vulnerabilities and help developers fix that. But then we are exploring on opportunities to work with law enforcement locally. I'm from Kenya,
Mhm.
and I know we're from different regions, but then I just like to get your opinion on
Mhm.
something. What are the main pain points that you guys are still facing in your day-to-day investigation? Is it like a lack of tools? Is it like a technical thing? And number two, maybe just another way to look at it, what are the main things that actually improved your process and your Yeah, what are the main things that you
Mm.
guys, what are tools, or I don't know, the main processes that like you guys adopted that improved like your entire investigative process? Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we use a variety of OSINT tools that are available to us. Some are paid, some are not. So we'll utilize those just to, you know, search the open web. We have some things that, or people we know that we work with that have access to things that can scrape the dark web and other areas. So we'll use those to kind of research IPs or the wallet itself. You know, if it's the wallet's been involved in other activity, we'll be able to, you know, pretty quickly figure that out. And everyone makes mistakes. You know, they turn that VPN off one way or another at some point. So we'll work those out as best we can using the tools available. I mean, the biggest pain point really is just I'd say resource allocation, right? We me being me and the other guy that work on these, we see the uptick obviously, and trying to get people who are the decision makers to also see that is challenging because they have a different vision of priorities, obviously. So I think that's probably something you'll see in Kenya, probably too. They probably care about one thing and you guys care about something else. Um, so I think that's probably pretty standard across the board, right? Everybody has their own opinions. And then I think the last question, so something I think that it helped us improve our casework is honestly just like networking. Like I can't like stress that enough. Like you know, having a network of people you can trust, because trust is like probably one of the biggest things, especially in this environment where there's a lot of distrust. Knowing who that is and what they're able to do for you and vice versa, because this is, you know, servant leadership over here. I don't do things that someone else wouldn't ask me to do that I wouldn't help them out, kind of a thing. So um, I try and help as many people as I can, and you know, vice versa. I hope that comes back, obviously. So I think those are some of the main things.
Yo, Matt, thank you very much. There's another question. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Shanika, are you ready?
Yes, please. Good afternoon or good night. Not sure what time it is. I'm from Barbados, so right now it's afternoon. I have a slight background in cybersecurity, and I'm currently dealing or dabbling in artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
So what I wanted to ask was, what are like the free or saint tools that you would use in order to like gather some information, and then if there's any that you could recommend so that I could like look at it, because you know, if you touch and play with things, you would like understand it better.
Mm.
And also, I wanted to know if there's any courses that like short courses that you could get certified so that you know like you'll be able to understand the information a little bit quicker, if
Hmm.
that'll be okay with you to share. Right now, I am assisting the government here with creating programs. So if like, you know, any other type of resources like add on to the programs I'm creating, because though the programs I'm focusing
Hmm.
on right now is like artificial intelligence and cybersecurity like meshed together. So I just want to know if you
Yeah.
have any recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for AI stuff, I'm still trying to figure it out myself too. I use a lot of AI tools for many things, including presentations. So,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to that, I need to learn more myself too. When it comes to like blockchain stuff and like open source, I like OSINT Industries. They do a really nice job of education and crypto. I mean, Outrider Analytics is fantastic. I don't know what their bandwidth or exposure is to outside the US right now, but I know that they have a fantastic training platform available and certifications obviously to go with it. Um, and what other OSINT stuff? I mean, I go through OSINT Industries and we have, like I said, we have some paid stuff that I can't mention, but we use those as a free tool, at least the OSINT ones, the OSINT Industries ones. And then, you know, and as you take these classes, you'll make friends, and um, all these people have a tool that they choose to use, and they'll recommend it. So then after a while, you have a whole book, you know, bookmark bar full of things you could probably pull, you know.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Shanika. Sumi, we're gonna just take your question. Please be quick because we have Adam, we have Chris, and then we have a guest lab coming up. So we have to watch the clock, yeah?
Okay, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot for taking my question, Matt. Mine is
Sure.
similar to Shanika.
Yo, hold
And
up, Sumi. Whereabouts are you from, man?
oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm from Germany.
Oh.
Nice.
Guten Tag,
Guten Tag. Guten Tag.
Good
Yeah,
talk.
guten Tag. So, Matt, I'm a fraud prevention specialist, and I
Mhm.
wanted to ask: is there also like what was the course again that you mentioned for Shanika?
Oh, OSENT Industries is the open source tool company, I guess. So they educate on that stuff. And then Outrider Analytics does like a lot of really good blockchain
Okay. Open
tracing and
source
stuff like that too.
OSINT, you said? OSINT?
Yep, Industries.
Okay. And also, any recommendations on how to get into blockchain analysis or crypto fraud investigation?
As a career, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's um depends on how risky you want to be, you know. If you're already in fraud compliance and stuff like that, you're already halfway there, I think. So if you look at some of the payment mechanisms that are going to be in play, I think for a lot of those transactions that are going to be taking place. So if you look at I would say like working like chain analysis or TRM, something like that, that's a good starting point.
Mm.
But I don't think that's like a long-term thing. So I would probably look more at like organizations that are going to be custodying or assisting with the payment flow of crypto. I'd probably look at those.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. And it was, sorry to repeat it, it was OSINT and the other one you said was?
Outrider Analytics.
Can you write it down? I'm sorry, English is not my first language.
You'll
No
catch
problem.
the recording, bro. Right now, the
Yeah,
clock has to move.
I
Okay,
got it.
sure.
I'll throw it in the chat.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Matt, you could
I'll
carry
shut
on.
up now. Thank you. Bye.
All right, cool. Yo, Matt, big up yourself. Matt, I would be grateful if you stick around. If you have
Yeah,
to, you could stick around because
sure.
during the guest lab this time, we're going to have experts from all over the world. We have Adila in Texas. We have Adela in St. Lucia. We have Georgette, who is from St. Lucia, but in the UAE. We have Devon in Texas as well. And we have Adam and we have Chris as well. Oh, and we have Paul and Chebet who will be joining us as well from Kenya. So we really want to get this 360 view of what's happening because people tend to assume that the developed world is moving like at a ultra fast pace. But then when I speak to people from the developing world, like everything is still dragging and slow and all kind of thing. So please stay around and let's proceed to that. So Adam, welcome to the house.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Good to go. So yeah, like Matt said, we look alike. I'm the better looking version of him though. He's probably got the cooler job. So I've been in law enforcement or not law enforcement. I have been in intelligence ops and crypto investigations for about 10 years now. Used to work out in DC doing a lot of that. Good stuff and various kinds of activity. Currently now I'm a manager with Strategy Bricks, focusing heavily on crypto investigations all around the world, all around the country. Here in the United States, I am based out of Missouri, which for anyone who doesn't know is right dab in the middle and seems to be Tornado Alley lately. So if you want to come hang out and catch a tornado or two, I am your guy. All right, so can you see the full slideshow or just like this broken down part?
Just a
Yo,
broken down part
we
on
see
him.
the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So really, I'm here today on behalf of Verify Wallet. Verify Wallet was founded by Malik Mutazar. He is a active federal law enforcement agent with the United States Secret Service. He's been at it for about 21 years. He has their blessing to operate, to run with this project and all of that stuff. He just cannot do it during working hours. So that's why you get to listen and hear my beautiful voice. I'm on their board of advisors. And like I said, I've been at this game for about 10 plus years, been in crypto since 2017. First kind of got into financial crimes actually in college. My introduction was through human trafficking. A good friend of mine was a victim of human trafficking, and I was a CI, confidential informant for law enforcement on the case, and that kind of opened my eyes up to the world that money is. Because at the time in college, you think money, you think parties, food, shoes, all that silly stuff. And then once you kind of get in the real world, you know there's a lot more to it than just kind of the good things in life. So I knew at that point I kind of wanted to go down this route. So Verify Wallet, it is unlike anything else kind of in the cryptocurrency investigative space. It is not like Chain Analysis. It is not like Elliptic. It is not like TRM Labs. The entire focus is trying to be a credit check for your blockchain wallets and transactions. And through these slides, you'll see some screenshots, but I'll probably skip over most of those because I also have a video to share with you that really shows you how easy and simple it is to kind of use it. So with Verify Wallet, the whole basis is it's a free tool to kind of prevent cryptocurrency crimes and really aid our law enforcement partners. There is no sign up required. You simply go to the website, you can enter a wallet address and report one, or if you enter it and ask to be analyzed, you kind of get a various risk score rating and different attributes that kind of say, hey, this wallet is linked to this activity, whether it's sanctions, scams, various other things like that, or whether it hasn't been reported, which doesn't necessarily mean it is a safe wallet. It just means no one has tagged it yet. And the big benefit right now we're working on for law enforcement is, for example, if Matt were to go and enter a wallet and 5 other law enforcement officers around the country had done it, they would be linked together to see, hey, I'm not the only one that has concerns about this wallet. These other 5 guys or gals also have, and they might be able to build a case without kind of going at it solo. So it is really instant access to risk scores of any wallet address. And we're not strictly linked to Bitcoin or to Ethereum. If it is a cryptocurrency and it has been entered into the platform, it will populate. And the best part is, and really what kind of separates us from the tools you think about, like the Chain Analysis, the Merkles, the Elliptic, is those are fantastic tools. The capabilities and things they can do with graphing and flow funds is amazing. Verify Wallet, we don't do tracing. It is simply you enter an address, and in one click, you kind of get a risk score rating and a breakdown of what is actually behind that wallet. So verified trusted partners, it's big, and this is not even everyone we've got. I'm sure you recognize many of the names on here. I also put the U.S. flag on here because one of the unique things about us, and obviously it's all due to the founder Malik, is his connections within the United States government and other places that gets him access and partnerships to data that typically would be very difficult to come by, especially as they pertain to various kinds of scams and illicit activity. All right, so quickly I'll run through the slides, but then I will actually sit down and show you a video of how easy it is to actually use the platform. So Verify Wallet, you go to the website. This is the home screen you get. It's simple, it's easy, and it's to the point. If you want to report a wallet, you click on that report wallet link. This is what you get. Pretty easy to understand. You put your wallet in there. You say, hey, here's exactly why I believe this wallet is part of illicit activity. And you can upload as many as you want, or you can do one. The wallet assessment. So if you click the Analyze Wallet Now, it pops you to this screen. And right here, the Analyze, it's where you enter your wallet address. You hit Analyze, and it spits out all sorts of pretty colors and numbers and things like that to really kind of help you understand, hey, here's really the story behind the wallet I'm looking into. And then if you dig even deeper, as you kind of would scroll down past these risk factors, you get an understanding of, hey, what is the risk this really poses? What are the risk factors as to why this is considered a high-risk wallet? You can even go in with the transactions and you're able to export them to really understand, okay, here's how much is in the wallet now, here's how much the wallet has received over time, and how much is that wallet actually sent out, and then the dates. So it's the goal is kind of to make it, like I said, a credit check for your wallets. You're not going to sit there and have to graph and trace everything out. Oftentimes, maybe you just want to check a wallet, see if it's in part of a scam, whether it's linked to pig butchering, crypto ATMs, illicit activity. Pop it in there, and it can kind of start to help you lead down your investigation if you're a user. And if you're law enforcement, like I said, there's a lot more benefits to it, especially if others within the industry have also kind of looked into that wallet. So before I go on to the next topic, I will quickly pop over to the video. Can everyone see the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off. Okay, cool. So like I said, this is the homepage of Verify Wallet. Easy, simple. We kind of cover the different areas we help, the community, law enforcement, and the financial sector. Cryptocurrency users, exactly what are the benefits and what they can do within Verify Wallet for those who kind of want to understand, hey, what really is Verify Wallet? Obviously, a disclaimer in here that just because you don't see a wallet doesn't mean it's an okay wallet. Law enforcement and investigators, really catering to them and saying, hey, here's where Verify Wallet really can make a difference in maximizing your investigation and all the different kind of avenues you can go down based on this information. The financial sector, how Verify Wallet can help analyze and track various cryptocurrencies. And then the rest of this stuff is privacy, commitment, data, frequently asked questions, trusted partners, all that good stuff that your typical pages have and stuff like that. So feel free to hop on there. It's verifywallet.com. Now, how to actually use the tool itself. Again, I want to report a wallet. Here we go. If I'm law enforcement, if I'm a victim, the wallet, why I think it's illicit, submit the report, we're done. If I want to analyze the wallet, click the button. I drop in my wallet like that. I hit analyze. And I see this wallet has a very high risk score. It's been reported by multiple individuals, risk to reputation, fraud, lending, the risk factors, the current balance of the wallet, the total amount received, the total amount sent, and the whole list of transactions that you are able to kind of download at your will. So that is Verify Wallet. It is not meant to be complicated. It is meant to be that simple, that easy, that you can use kind of within the span of that I covered this video. That has kind of been the whole mindset of it is Matt will attest to, speed is the name of the game. And there is no tool out there that is going to stop every single kind of crime, but it's little things like that that can really make a difference in how things are escalated and how things are viewed on the front end.
Question.
Yep.
So I saw a little API tab on there. So what I'm assuming that is you guys have a call function essentially that if I were a vendor and I wanted to accept automated transactions on my whatever website, I could call your API and query if these wallets are trustworthy before I accept their funds.
Yes. So that is yep, that is something I was going to mention at the end, but since you mentioned it, we are getting ready to put out an API that you can kind of link into and vice versa. Like you get our data and our platform will also pull from your data. So the plan right now is if you're interested, let me know. It's on a wait list. Once we get out of the beta test, those on the wait list will get access. If you're not on the wait list, you kind of have to wait until we're like, hey, this is going public and everyone can kind of have at it.
How long have you guys been in business?
Malik just started this, I want to say summer of last year. I can't give you the exact time and stuff, but yeah, it has, blown up overnight because there's nothing else like this out there. There is no, go ahead.
There is. So I built this in 2021 as a hackathon with my developer, basically the exact same idea, but we couldn't get traction because we didn't have anybody in the law enforcement field. So we actually already have an automated system that will block transactions for Bitcoin and other cryptos as well. I'm not saying that, I'm just thinking that we should partner with you is what I'm saying.
Yep. Hey, after this, get a hold of me and we can talk. Yeah, the name of the game,
because we have it automated already. So it's
Nino,
it's cool to see that someone
at
least has
partnership.
it.
Nino, what a beautiful way to ask for partnership, Nino. Oh my God.
I know it's wonderful. The thing is, this is what I wanted to stress to the students, and you weren't here for these classes, but this is just an idea that I had. I'm like, why don't we do this? Like, this is something that should be done. Like, I'm surprised that we don't do this already. But I'm not in law enforcement and I don't have anybody in, data forensics or crypto forensics. So I was not the guy to build it, and we did it as a hackathon. So it was, just like something that we had a limited amount of time, we're a little time crunch, but we never really ran with it because we have other priorities. We're trying to solve different problems. But it is cool to see that you actually are running with it. You are the type of people that have the connections you need to make something like this run. But I definitely want to get with you guys and see, if we can't partner at least, because we already have the tools for some cryptos.
Yeah,
It would
no,
make sense
yep,
for us to partner.
definitely. I'll give you my email after this. But I mean, to your point, and I think this speaks to people's career as a whole, not just kind of things like this. You kind of are your network and you are your connections. Whether it's partnerships like this, ideas and building on them, or looking for a job in a market like this. You hate to be tied to your value as your network, but when it comes to things like this, it really does help to know who you are and kind of have a way to push that forward. So yeah, I'll get together with you after this.
Yo, Chris, there's a question from Devon, but before Devon asks that question, there's a question here from Muhammad. It says, so everyone can make a report irrespective of his, her country, and his assets will be recovered, even if crypto is not recognized in the country.
No, nothing will be recovered. This is not any kind of asset recovery platform at all. This is just
sorry. So I did want to interject. The tool that we built would actually, if depending on who had reported the fraudulent keys, it would allow you to actually repossess the funds and recover them as the person tries to spend them. They just wouldn't be providing that person any service or providing them any, like let's say a fraudulent key comes to your exchange and they try and exchange it to a different fund. You would recover the funds, but you wouldn't actually deliver anything. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like a dirty way of repossessing these stolen funds, but they're never theirs to begin with. So it was, my conscience was clean. But actually, I'm gonna shoot you a website real quick. I want you to see it. This was our submission.
Yo, Nino, hold up. You're gonna pitch this pitch afterwards. We're running on time, bro. We're gonna do this later, Nino. I'm not gonna do this now because Chris has to go on. Hold up. Devin, what's your question, please?
No, I'll let him proceed. I can save my questions for another time, but just very interesting since this is a space I work in. So that's all.
Yeah, we can connect, Devin. All right, I'm a fast talker, so I can keep this going, Brian. All right, crypto ATMs, the good, the bad, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think we all know what the general perception of crypto ATMs is in there. And as many of my friends, I think Matt included, have called me before a reformed crypto ATMer. What's that mean? It means I used to work in this space, and I kind of have a little different view of it now that I'm out of there. So I'm sure many of you have seen something like this before. This is a crypto ATM receipt. Kind of that dotted line, everything above it is the things that matters for your investigation, especially if you are on the law enforcement side or assisting a victim in some way. The order number, the mobile number linked to the account, the amount of money put in, the amount sent, and that Bitcoin wallet address. So crypto ATMs, people have always asked me, like, what do these ATMs hold? Like the information and stuff like that. As Jack Reacher would say, every little detail in investigation matters. So that, in my opinion, that means you leave no stone unturned. So these crypto ATMs, they do hold a wealth of information for investigations. Now, does it mean it's going to break your case? No, but oftentimes they hold licenses, various IDs, and full KYC info. Now, this can depend on the tier level at which the customer has interacted, but each and every one of those tiers is dependent upon the actual kiosk provider behind it. A unique thing about these kiosks that have helped law enforcement on a number of cases, not always what we call the pig butchering or the other scams, but some different ones, whether it's human trafficking, drug trafficking, identity theft, or the images from the kiosk. So all of these kiosks actually have cameras in them that take images as you approach the machine. Also, full transactional history, where all they've interacted, where all the ATMs are they've interacted, if they've crossed state lines, if they've crossed international lines, the amounts they've used, how often they used. So again, like Matt touched on in his things, these funds usually move very quickly, but often it is simple. It is not like they are jumping through too many hoops between swaps and bridges. It is usually cash to Bitcoin. And then sometimes it's as quick of a jump as to a various exchange overseas. So kind of last slide for you is crypto ATMs. And if you are investigating them or working with law enforcement or law enforcement yourself, contact the organization. Many of them have law enforcement teams, compliance teams, or customer support teams that can get you to where you need to be. Use a law enforcement officer if you have one to aid your case. They're going to carry a lot more weight and be able to get a lot more information than if someone reaches out on their own saying, hey, I was scammed, things like that. Work with your legislative bodies, whether it's here in the States or overseas. I know a lot of countries are doing good work behind this. Here in the US, in my opinion, Connecticut has set the standard of it. I also know Iowa and then one of the Dakotas have really started to take a lead as well to try to protect consumers from the amount in which these scams kind of go on. Lastly, if you are with law enforcement or you know someone who's scammed, breaking into the machine is not the answer. It causes all sorts of legal issues, cost, all of that good stuff. So if you're in this space, the best thing we can really do, especially to our elder folks, our parents, I've talked to mine many times, is educate them. Like, hey, if someone calls you and says you're under arrest unless you pay me 10 grand right now, it's not true. If someone emails you and says, hey, your account has been locked out, probably not true. So it's really important that we kind of educate our elders, educate our peers, especially those who are not as familiar with the crypto space, which, as we still know in this world, it's growing, but a majority of folks still do not understand it. So educate, educate, educate. All right, that is it. So Brian, if we've got time for questions, happy to take some.
Yo, we're going to take questions, but Adam, you and Nino are going to have your business discussion elsewhere. Right now,
yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so Adila, you had a question for Adam, please.
Adam, I know Malik, and the product is amazing because I'm a user. And a lot of the companies that I work with, they utilize your website to be able to investigate and look at transactions prior to closing on a deal or a sale. So that's what I utilize it for privately for my clients. My question is, do you believe that Verify Wallet will later expand into other markets outside of just the credibility check?
If you're asking, do I ever think it will truly be a tracing tool? No.
Okay.
I will.
That's what I want.
No, because then we start playing with the big boys in that space. I will say, I really think it's about partnerships. We kind of know what we've got. We've really started to partner with Merkle Science as well, because the big boys, as I'll call them, TRM, elliptic, and chain analysis. We know what they bring to the table. You can do incredible level investigations with them, but when I talk to law enforcement every day, 98% of the cases don't involve swaps and bridges and Tron and all of this. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so you don't need the top of the tier line thing sometimes to do it. So for us, the name of the game is ease. And if we can partner with people who provide our users and all law enforcement with an easy tool to use, whether it's ours or where they do want to go down the tracing route, that's kind of what we're after.
Adam, big up yourself. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Amen.
That's the moral of the story. Devon,
I love the motto.
Chris is calling you out. He's saying he wants to hear your question. We want to hear your question, Devon. I'm going with that.
Thanks, Brian. So this is fascinating to me and intriguing because I work in the traditional space of GRC and risk management for iHeartMedia. I got about 14 years of experience in risk management. And when you're walking through the things, just basically how the program works, it's very similar to how we assess risk, basically. So my question, and just curious to pick your brain, have you guys thought about expanding how you assess risk outside of, I think it was like the 3 pillars? Was it you're assessing the business risk? I think it was.
Yeah, it was reputational fraud and lending.
Yeah, have you guys thought about expanding it, also looking into like the operational side as well as maybe once we get there, once things become more regulated, like the regulatory side and environment of it?
Yes, absolutely. We have about 1,000 ideas on the table, but as anyone knows, when you're Malik is bootstrapping this himself, and with his job and with my full-time job, I mean, you grind and you get things done when you can. So that's why we were like, hey, like let's get things out to make sense. And as we kind of go and expand, really be able to expand to say, hey, maybe it's jurisdictional risk, maybe
Yeah,
it's where
yeah,
the money goes,
yeah,
exchange risk, things like
yeah.
that. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of like building a rocket. Before we can
Yeah,
hit launch off, we got to get each piece in place.
absolutely. I'd be happy to partner with or help you guys develop certain additional, entities that help expand it, because I think what would also add value here for you guys is developing a ongoing risk register. Basically, once you guys have like let's say, a customer that uses your platform that has allowed them to appropriately assess the risk, it basically gets put into a repository. That way, on an ongoing basis, if someone has a similar flavor of, let's say, somebody's risk that they have identified, you guys can basically have a repository that kind of quantifies what that risk was assessed previously to help, make easily accessible to the next consumer or customer that uses it. So I'd be happy to, pick you guys' brain and just, partner with you guys anyway.
You got it. I'll give you my email and we can chat.
And that's
Sounds good.
how it's done. Students, I hope you're watching. You have a good day. That's how it's done. Chris, thank you for putting the spotlight on Devon. He had some gems to share, you know what I mean? So big up yourselves. Before we move on to Chris, man, this is not even the panel session. This is still instructor session, but it's fire. We have to introduce Gabrielle Green. Please big up yourself because you're the initiator of all this. You've brought all these geniuses on
I love it.
to this platform. We're loving it. So, Gabby, introduce yourself once again, refresh their minds.
Of course, wonderful to see you all. I'm Gabby Green. I'm Crypto Client Services Manager at Shift4 and also support anti-financial crime coordination. Prior to that, I worked in government contracting on counter North Korea, crypto and sanctions evasion, programming around preventing the spread of nuclear weapons. So I've been joking with everyone the past couple of days. I'm here at a conference that I took the regular track to crypto, which is through nuclear.
All right, cool. Thanks, Gabby. So, guys, I hope you're going to stick around for the panel session. Chris, it's now your turn to go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Brian. I appreciate being here. And Adila, thank you. And thank you to Gabby for helping introduce me to everyone. And as the universe would have it, Adela is one of my good friends for a very long time and also a board member of the Crypto Recovery Alliance, which I founded last year. And we're working towards getting our nonprofit status. And I also, as you may have seen on the Verify Wallet slide, that we did partner with Verify Wallet. But the reason how I got into this space, also crazy journey. I actually have a degree in genetics, and there wasn't a direct path from biotech to fintech, right? But I saw that this was going to be the future. I realized you couldn't turn Bitcoin off. It was going to spur innovation. And if I was going to go back and change careers, right? And so this is advice for all of you, actually, as students. I was looking at changing everything that I went to school for this new industry. So then there wasn't any place to get training. It was 2013, it was 2014. And there was no Ethereum yet. It was just Bitcoin. It was Bitcoin Twitter, right? Now it's Crypto X. It's not even like the same thing. But the point being was, if you really want something and you need determination and grit, right? Because I had business models that failed multiple times. Adela will tell you, right? But eventually, right, what I did not realize was that everything that I had been doing had been setting the table, right? A foundation that now I was able to stand on when the opportunity came to me. So you may not realize where you're putting yourself in, what kind of a position you're putting yourself in, but what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for opportunity so that it's not luck, right? So that you're actually in a place where, oh, here's the opportunity that I was looking for. Boom, you jump on it and it's yours, right? And that's how you get in. It's showing up to these types of events. It's networking. That's what I did when I got started. I didn't know anything, right? I'm not a developer. I used to make three-dimensional protein structures for drug discovery, right? Um, I used to wear a lab coat and goggles. That was my life, you know? Um, and I knew, you know, I also had the fortunate opportunity of growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley. So, and while I was growing up, I saw the rise of the internet, you know, and I went and I chose the path of biotech and pharma because the Human Genome Project I thought was going to bring all this innovation, and it did. Don't get me wrong, but what I did not realize and what they don't teach you in school is how certain industries operate, and it did not align with me personally after a long time. Thanks, Adila. And so what I needed to do was change something to how it resonated with me more. And this new industry, once I realized you couldn't turn it off, was just going to spur innovation. So I just determination, grit, finding a way to get in, get your foot in the door. And so why I'm saying this now is because for a long time, I still do. I run a company called Coinstructive. We do fractional compliance officer, and actually, I've been told it's called tokenized compliance officer now instead of fractional. Uh, but and then we also do fraud investigations. So working directly with victims. But for a long time, I'd have to turn victims away who couldn't afford our services, and it never felt right because those people who I was turning away were the ones who needed it the most. They're the ones who like maybe they lost $30,000, but that was their entire life savings that they saved up for 10 years. And now they're paycheck to paycheck. They're, the sad story that follows. And because I wasn't in a position where I was financially stable enough to take on free clients, I had to choose to support myself. It's the whole concept of like you can't do anything for anybody else if you're not in a position to be able to do it, right? Like whether that's your health, mental state, financially. So it took me a while, but it was always this underlying uh, feeling, right, about helping people. I mean, that's why I got into biotech and pharma. I thought I was going to help all these people, which I mean, we do, but it didn't resonate with me after a while. So this was another way. How do we help more people? So I always had this concept of the Crypto Recovery Alliance. I didn't know what I was going to call it initially, but I always knew we were going to be able to help the people who needed it the most. So last March, I finally can, and I worked with an attorney for like 2 years, and they kept telling me no, that crypto victims were not a group of or a class of people that deserved services based in the eyes of like the IRS in the United States. So the tax authority in the United States who gives this nonprofit status to different entities. This attorney I was working with kept throwing roadblocks. So I had to eventually switch attorneys again, right? So determination, grit, figuring out a way to get there, finding people along the way, right? Exactly. This is not an uncommon story. You have to keep pushing, right? You got to keep pushing through because everybody will put roadblocks in your way, and it's like little challenges. I don't like to call them tests because tests feel kind of like a negative, but I feel like they're quests. They're like side quests, where you have to step up to the challenge. You got to face the boss, you know, and you have to determine what's the right path forward afterwards. So for me, I wanted to make sure that we took a totally different approach to this concept of crypto forensics, and so I wanted to be able to provide a couple of different things for people. One is access to no cost blockchain forensics for victims who qualify financially, so that the people who like actually need it the most, we can tell, and we don't get the people who just are feeling bad and want free services, right? So we're going to make sure that those people actually qualify. But then I'm going to open up the other two. So it's a three-prong approach. And the other two prongs are going to be open to anybody who comes. The second thing will be access to low or no cost mental health care, right? Because what we're trying to do is take the word recovery back. People think in this path to victimhood that if they get the money back, it's going to fix all their problems. But if you were in a married, committed relationship and you had a shared account and you took the money out without discussing that, you have a trust problem, right? There's a bigger issue than just losing the money. And those things spiral. And what people don't realize is they actually need to work to get themselves back to a life that they had before the scam. Because after about 6 months or so, people realize, I'm not going to get this money back. It's not coming back, right? And so when their adult children stop talking to them and they lost their job because they weren't sleeping well, they weren't eating right, they were distracted, right? And now they feel isolated, they get depressed, they start to get suicidal. If we can save one life along the way, the whole thing is worth it. That's what I say, right? So the third thing, which is almost equally important, because when you're in this victim state of mind, you're like looking through a straw. You can only see that you lost the money and everything else in the world kind of melts away. So, but what I want to make sure that people understand is, and what that you are going to get retargeted. If you are a scam victim, you are now on a list, and they use all the same retargeting, digital marketing tactics that are going on across the internet. They will keep texting you. It'll be something different. But if you don't know how to spot it, you're going to fall victim again, right? I don't want to see any repeat victims. And so, there's always this conversation about, hey, we can't prevent victimization. And I agree. You're always going to have people in moments of vulnerability. Life gets in the way, distractions happen, you have a moment, oh, something happened. But we can do, especially in the crypto industry, we can do a lot better at preventing re-victimization, because right now the path is, as a victim, I realize I'm scammed. I go back to the exchange or the wallet company where I held the funds. I send a fund, or I talk to them and they say, sorry, it's crypto, nothing we can do about the transaction. Go to the police. The police say, we don't have the tool. Most of the police say, we don't have the tools to do this yet. We don't have anybody on staff. Go to the feds. So you go to federal law enforcement and they say, this is 150K. It's too small for us to look at. Now, 150K is not a bad weekend, gambling in Las Vegas, right? Or Macau or something. Like, that is significant life-changing money. And you're going to say, because everybody has the internet in their pocket now, how do I get my crypto back? Guess what the number one advertiser on Google was for the longest time until the FBI took it down? Scam recovery company. So people, and this is the problem, because this is new industry, people don't have a way to even evaluate the people who are helping them, right? Because if your car was leaking some fluid or making some noise and you took it to the mechanic and the mechanic looked at the outside of the car and said, oh, it's your transmission, I need $7,500. You'd look at him like he was crazy and you drive to another shop and get another estimate. But when somebody at a crypto forensics company says, I need 10 grand to get your money back, people are desperate. They do it. Then they show them a wallet that has the money in it. That, oh, we found your money. It's in this wallet, but we need 10% of the 200K that's in here for taxes before we can release it to you. Scammed again. So now they lost 150, then they lost another 30. So by the time they talk to us, not only do they not trust us, they don't trust anybody, and they're desperate, right? So this is part of the reason why I started the Crypto Recovery Alliance. So the last thing I'll say is that all of you folks out there who are like, how do I get in? How do I get my foot in the door? That's why I'm starting this, is because I need people like you. And the reason I say that is because there are so many people who I've hired throughout the years who say that they are certified crypto blockchain forensics investigators. And then they get in and you realize that they really don't understand what they're doing, right? They're used to using tools, pushing a button and it telling them what happened. And so if you like Sudokus, right, where you have some information and you have some other information and there's missing gaps in between, this is something for you. If you like If you like philosophy and logic, right? This is something for you. If you like puzzles, right? This is something for you. Now, we're talking about ways to get in, and soon I see your hand, so we'll get to you. I'm almost wrapped up here. But part of what we do is we do intake calls with people because we want to make sure that people get some actual information and talk to a person, right? So that they can understand what their options actually are, and then they realize that recovery is in a 0 to 5% chance, right? So if you just set the table for people, at least they know what the playing field is and they can understand and they can start to get comfortable. So there's setting the expectation, right? So that there's not a letdown of like, oh, I thought you were going to get the money back. No, there's a very small chance you're going to get the money back. But the more people that report, right? That's the other problem because it's a psychological issue. People are ashamed. So they don't report it. They go, I just lost 15 grand. I don't even want to tell my family. I'm just going to make up an excuse. But how many other people did that also happen to? Because it's a lot easier for the scammers to send out all this social engineering, phishing, smishing, whatever it is, to get 1,000 people for $10,000 than to get 10 people for $1 million each, right? If we can add up those small cases and the people report it, that's what law enforcement is looking for. They're looking for the big dollar amounts. So we need these entities like Verify Wallet that are helping aggregate data. We need to make sure that victims don't feel ashamed so that they can report because it's for the greater good. So that's part of it. So back to the getting in the door, you may start out as a student while you're in school, a couple days a week, 3 hours at a time, maybe 4 hours at a time, fielding intake calls and working with victims and understanding the process, right? And then from there, graduating up, starting to do attribution, annotations, and helping out like do the images, right? And then understanding how like the logic works and why this went this way and why it's split and and getting the fundamentals to where you can then raise and graduate up to doing actual blockchain forensic investigations. So this is not just, oh, we're helping people. I'm building a career path so that people have an entry point because you may not like it. You get in and you're like, oh, this ain't for me. I thought it was going to be something different. I had a different expectation. But now we're not throwing you into the fire. We're gradually getting you to where you're comfortable and we have confidence that when we let you run with it, you're gonna do the investigations the right way. We teach you the same methods and methodologies and practices that forensic accountants and the FBI use so that we're lockstep. So when we hand over a report, because we're a nonprofit, and we've already talked to these entities, they said, we will just use your reports if we start to verify and they look good instead of having to recreate them ourselves. You're using the same tools we are. Looks good, data's good. We can take your intelligence and make it actionable. So if you're interested in the Crypto Recovery Alliance, which I'm already feeling the energy, right? Please feel free to reach out. We're gonna have a new website in the next 2 weeks. But you can go to cryptorecoveryalliance.org. I'll put a link in the site. And please fill out the contact us form. We're still waiting for a nonprofit status. It's probably going to be a month or two, so we're not open to the public. We're building infrastructure and getting everything in place so that we can open the doors. Because unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, ChatGPT already knows who we are. And somebody came to us and said, hey, I found you on ChatGPT. And I was like, well, we're not even like, we only have a splash page. I don't even know how did ChatGPT find us. So apparently we're doing something right and it's needed. So better than SEO, I guess.
Cool things, cool things. Yo, are there any questions for Chris? Yo, Chris, that was mad wisdom. Like you've dropped some really crazy gems and, so much love. Any questions? Actually, no questions at this point. Let me open up the panel session. But that question that's lingering there, you can ask it. I see a hand up. Devon, is it your hand that's up or whose hand is up? Can't see.
It's mine. It's mine. Sumi from Germany.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Okay.
So I'll make it really, really short, okay? But I just need 1 minute. So, Chris, thanks a lot for this talk. This was probably the most authentic talk I've ever heard since a while. You really resonated with me, and since you're working with Adila, she's one of the best women I've ever met, actually. So I actually sent you an invite in LinkedIn. Actually, what I wanted to say is thank you, because it's exactly what I was looking for. This is exactly what I was looking for the last 6 months. So I'm really, really happy that I joined this call. And yeah, count me in already. I will join you most probably already. I think I'll fill it up right now, and you have me in. And yeah, you're here for me. My name is Sumit. And yeah, I'm from Germany. Adila knows me. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yo, good thing, Sumi. You know where you saw it first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Now, Adila, you have something to say.
He's talking about me, Chris. This is Adela, not Adela. And this is one of my mentees. And yes, highly recommended.
Thanks, Adila. Okay, I'm going to mute the mics, and then, guys, the panelists can unmute themselves because there's so much noise and feedback in the background. I don't know whose mic is on. Please unmute yourselves, panelists. Just one second.
We're here.
This is gonna be our biggest panel ever. So I'm literally just gonna ask one question because it has so many people, and this one question is going to last us probably the next half an hour or so. So, Chebet, are you there?
Hi.
So,
Hi, everyone.
So, Chebet, how come I can't pin you? Or it's too many people to pin? Okay.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Okay, Chebet, you stick up right there. Let's see. Favor, are you on this call? Okay. Favor?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, cool. So, guys, too many people from all over the world. Like, first of all, the panelists who are on, we have your introductions. So we're gonna allow the ones who haven't been introduced to introduce themselves. And I'm gonna start all the way in Abu Dhabi. Georgie, Wagwan.
Wagwan, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, yo, there's some feedback. I don't know whose mic has feedback. I'm gonna mute Adam. Let me see if it's Adam. It's not Adam. Trisha, I think that was you.
I think it's better now.
Yeah, that was Trisha. So Adam, sorry for that. Let me unmute you.
You're good, man.
All right, cool. Cheers. Okay, so quick introductions. Like this is literally a whistle stop tour. Days in time. We can do as up to quarter past, but let's keep it popping, yeah? So, Georgie, introductions, and then we move to Paul, then Trisha and Chabet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Georgette. So I'm a crypto and fintech lawyer. I've been in the space for over 8 years, and I work very closely with fintech companies, crypto companies who are looking to set up. So I take them from idea all the way to regulation or registration and help them grow. So this is my background in a nutshell.
Thanks, Georgie. Paul? Hello, Paul. Okay, on to the next. Trisha?
Hi, good afternoon. Tricia Millington. I'm from the island of Barbados. I'm an intellectual property
Hello. Hi,
consultant,
Brian. Can you hear me?
primarily in. Hello?
Yeah. Paul, let Trisha do her thing and then you'll do it quick, yeah?
Okay.
All right, cool.
Hi, from the island of Barbados. I'm an intellectual property consultant, primarily assisted in protecting trademarks for companies worldwide. And I'm an alumni of the No Long Ting program from last year. So now I'm exploring how intellectual property, blockchain, and regulatory compliance intersect.
Yo, big up yourself, Trisha. Use our people. Paul, quick thing.
Hi, Brian. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. So my name is Paul Makolaka, co-founder and CEO of Abia University. We are based in Nairobi. We are building a decentralized online learning platform combining blockchain, pedagogy, and AI. And I'll be very happy to answer any question that may be directed to me. Today, I'm really happy with the sessions today in that, from day one when we started, it has been building the momentum. And today, the caliber of guests.
Yeah, they've been solid. Yo, my bro, your network.
These are people, expertise, skills. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Paul. Okay, Chebet, quick thing.
Hi everyone, my name is Chebet Kipingor. I'm the Business Operations Manager for Busha, which is an African-grown licensed exchange. I wear many hats. I'm also the Deputy Chair of the Crypto Exchanges Committee at the Virtual Asset Chamber of Commerce, where I help do advocacy and lobby work in regards to crypto and VASP regulation. And lastly, I'm the Regional Ambassador Africa at the Association of Women in Cryptocurrency. And I'm excited to be here and hearing all about all the big things.
All right, cool. Thanks, Chebet. And we have Palesa. Palesa has been late to the party, but it's never too late to join the party. Palesa, quick intro and favor. Literally, if you can do a 10-second intro, because this one question is gonna take us a while. So let's keep it moving. Thanks, Gabi. Favor, you ready? Palesa, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Favor.
Yeah.
I am an alumni of No Long Ting 2024, and I'm actually an agricultural consultant in Nigeria. I work with the National Plant Variety Protection Office, and I also am an administrator for Blockchain Wakanda. It's a project that is ongoing in Nigeria. And of course, of course, as a result of No Long Ting last year, I've been inspired to, raise offline groups of young ones that's educating them on blockchain and Web3 technology. Some of my students are actually here. So it's really a wonderful time being with you. So I am always enthusiastic about applying blockchain to agricultural innovation. So that's just it. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Favor. Palesa, quick thing, and then we start this right now.
Hi everybody, my name is Alisa. I'm from Lesotho. I am a legal consultant, but currently I work under Blockchain Lex Group as Director of Communications and PR. I am also an alumni of No Long Ting Bootcamp. I was discovered last year. On the side too, I actually have a company called DigiLex. It's like it's a non-profit company where I teach Basotho from Lesotho about the digital safety, the emerging technologies of implications. overall how to stay safe and don't get scammed like me. Yeah, so that's what I do basically.
Thanks, Palesa. And Palesa, I think you need to improve your mic as well. You sound like you're inside a drum, but we still got you. We heard you. Okay, guys, one question from me. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I invited you all for this session today. This session is about the global regulatory landscape. We come from different countries, different continents, and the approach or the understanding of Web3 and crypto and blockchain is nuanced in each of these regions. So, in terms of victim, let's say consumer protection and solutions moving forward, where do we see this thing? What are actually now two things: challenges, one, including the victims, and what you see this industry bringing to change the game moving forward. Anybody can start. Georgie, you want to start? Matt? Okay, Matt is ready.
Yeah, I'm always ready. Trust. That's what I gotta say.
Right.
We need trust. All these, or a lot of these organizations, you don't know who to trust anymore. And if we're gonna help victims out, we need to find honest, hardworking people who actually want to do the right thing. And unfortunately, I think that's hard to find in a lot of industries, especially financial. But I think something special about crypto, it seems to be that the ecosystem, generally speaking, people actually want to make the area better and more fruitful for everyone. So I think that's just something we got to keep in mind when we do all these things, because we can't trust anyone, unfortunately, it seems like anymore.
Okay. Just to add a nuance to this question, because I think some of us think some nations are more advanced as opposed to others. So when you're presenting on your jurisdiction, could you just tell us where you are so that someone from another jurisdiction doesn't think like, oh, we are light years behind or we are light years ahead? Like I said before, having discussions with Devon and Adila and Matt as well during the previous Crypto Mondays panel, they're like, oh, I thought this was happening in the States, but you're like, oh, in the States, nothing like that is happening, or in the UK, this is happening, or in Abu Dhabi, this is happening. So just give us your local nuance to like the regulatory position and that kind of stuff. So Devon, if you want to continue the discourse.
Yeah, this is a great question, Brian. I say particularly in the US, we're honestly standing on a regulatory crossroads, basically, right? I mean, we see a lot of booming things occurring with potential, but the absence of a unified federal clarity, which basically means we're watching enforcement happen case by case. So it's not about what's written, it's about what's interpreted and who pays the price when ambiguity leads to harm, right? So from the GRC perspective and the lens, this isn't just about like an enterprise problem, right? It's, as you mentioned, it's a consumer protection problem. I mean, with over 4 billion lost in crypto scams in 2023 alone, we see victims are often left without recourse. So the truth is a couple factors here, I'll say. It's a regulatory ambiguity, which equals consumer vulnerability. It's compliance is a human safeguard. And then GRC basically must be a cross-functional method and ethical. I think those are key factors in us really continuing the progression, especially for the victims and consumers, that really needs to take place if we want this thing to be stable and last, just not for a temporary moment, but forever. So,
Thanks, Devon. Chebet, I see your hand is raised.
Hi guys, thanks for the really interesting question. So I've been fortunate enough to work closely with both regulators and different groups of people who've been lobbying for regulation in Kenya, where I'm from and where I'm headquartered. And it's been interesting. For the longest time here in Kenya, the government has had a very, I'd say, modest or very fearful view of the crypto industry and VASPs in general. And up until last year, around August, the government basically, decided we need to regulate or else. And there's also a lot of external pressure from the IMF and other organizations because of the crazy amount of volumes that are moving in Kenya, as well as the fact that yes, people were losing money and there are no avenues because there was no regulation. So there's this huge gray area. So they developed the VASP bill. They started working on this in August, and people have been consulting on it. January this year, we were able to see the first draft, and it was shocking. It was shocking, I'd say, because we realized quite quickly as players in the industry that they rushed to regulate the industry without understanding exactly how to protect the consumers, exactly how to ensure that even with regulation, they're not stifling innovation. The other thing we noticed once we read through the documents was there are so many gaps, even in the definitions. Things like what an NFT is, what a stablecoin is, what a VASP is, weren't properly defined. And immediately I'd say what's it called? We came together as stakeholders. We reached out to the government. We gave our opinions because we realized if you want our businesses to thrive, we have to be able to self-regulate. We have to be able to show how the customers should be protected in the right way based on what we know, based on what's happening in other markets. And I think what really helped worked for us is just taking the time to study what's worked in other places. We paid a lot of attention to jurisdictions like Indonesia, South Africa, Nigeria, as well as Mauritius. And globally, we looked at Singapore as well, just to try and give our regulators an idea of what other regulators were doing to protect not just consumers, but to ensure that these businesses don't collapse or die because of over-regulation. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Jabet. Before I come to Adila and Adam, let's go to an extreme side of the world that potentially nothing much is happening. So, Palesa, I hope you fixed your mic and you're sounding like proper now.
Is it
Tell us
okay
what's
now?
happening. Tell us what's happening in Lesotho, and then Favor, tell us what's happening in Nigeria, and then we move to Adam and Adila and Georgie and Gabby and Chris as well.
Can you hear me better now?
It's
No?
still struggling. Do you want to remove your headpiece and just use your computer audio then? In the meantime, let's pass it on to Favor. Favor?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was actually speaking without the mic being on. All right, thank you. So currently in Nigeria, nothing much is going on, but I just want to start with the efforts of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Of course, those who are updated will know that Central Bank banned banks from facilitating crypto transactions in 2021. So this citing risk like fraud and money laundering. However, in December 2023, the central bank lifted the ban. So they allow banks to engage with crypto exchanges under strict regulations. And then the Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria regulates digital assets and has issued guidelines on virtual access service providers. And this require licensing and compliance with anti-money laundering laws. So basically right now, NITDA is still exploring blockchain applications in governance and cyber security. But of course, there are challenges in consumer protection, especially here in Nigeria, because of regulatory uncertainty and lack of clear policies. Not just Nigeria, but of course, African governments have this inconsistent policies, with some outrightly banning crypto while others, cautiously embracing it. But the lack of clear legal frameworks exposes consumers to scam and, fraudulent crypto projects and all of that. And limited awareness and financial literacy. Many Nigerians in Africa, they invest in, crypto and Web3 projects even without understanding the risk. So scammers use this opportunity to exploit ignorance by promising huge profits from unverified, blockchain projects. So there's also the issue of lack of consumer recourse and legal protection. If a consumer loses funds in a fraudulent crypto scheme, there is little or no legal recourse due to weak regulatory enforcement. So many are victims of rug pulls and crypto scams, and they have no way to recover their losses. And the issue of data privacy and cybersecurity is of great concerns. Of course, storing personal and financial data on public blockchain raises concerns under data protection laws like Nigerian data protection regulation. So Africa has experienced, crypto exchange hacks leading to loss of funds and identity theft. So we are advocating for clear and inclusive regulatory frameworks in such a way that NIDA, Nigeria, is spearheading this and some other organizations. And we want the government to create pro-innovative regulations that protect consumers while supporting the Web3 growth. And we're also looking at, advocating for Nigeria's SEC and CBN to collaborate with blockchain associations to develop clear guidelines for crypto businesses, because some of these businesses are suffering from lack of clear, regulatory frameworks. And we notice another solution that might be of help is stricter oversight of crypto exchanges and products, because crypto exchanges operating in Nigeria should always register with financial regulators and, of course, adhere to know your customer requirements. And we are hopeful that the government, we don't know whether it's long-term or short-term, should be able to mandate smart contract audits for DeFi platforms to prevent any form of vulnerabilities. And most importantly, that which Brian and his team are doing is what we call consumer education and awareness creation. And when I look at no long thing and the number of Nigerians here, it's kind of an exposure, because it's a good one when awareness are created. The public-private sector should invest in financial literacy campaigns on crypto risks. And of course, blockchain companies and NGOs should also organize workshops and safe trading, scam detection, and secure wallets. I was glad when a presentation was made on that. And then finally, before I wrap up, from the research I've made so far, I realized that blockchain-based dispute resolution mechanisms could also go a long way in Nigerian framework. If there are legal frameworks, this framework should include consumer protection clauses for blockchain-based financial transactions and all of that. And then our digital identity should also be secured. And of course, adopting all this blockchain, electronic know your customer can help reduce fraud in crypto transactions. So that's my 2 cents from
Thanks,
Nigeria.
Favor. That was so comprehensive. It felt like a news report. Like, yo, you know your shit. Excuse my language. Like, literally, Favor, big up yourself. Always outstanding. Guys, Gabby Green has to jump off. But before she goes, we have to compare notes with Gabby before she jumps off rather. Then we continue the discourse. Gabby, did you hear what's happening on the other side of the world? Like away from the US, you had African perspective from different African countries. So it doesn't sound so remote from what we're experiencing in the UK and in the US. So let me hear your 2 cents on that before Adila and Adam take over.
Absolutely. What I can say is I found that working with African and Caribbean countries has always been a pleasure on regulatory topics when it comes to crypto. I find that you all are actually way ahead of the game in a lot of regards in terms of wanting to learn and make active changes and be really engaged. On the US side, I know people like to say we're maybe further along in like crypto but it's really not the case. I think from my own personal perspective, we're still seeking regulatory clarity over here, and with the new administration, we're gonna see if we're gonna get that. So I'd love to see all the energy and all the updates that were brought today.
Thanks, Gabby, and thanks for the hookup. Yeah, you'll pick up yourself, Gabby. We're
Oh,
gonna
of course.
later. All right, cool. Adam, you had your hand raised for a long minute now. What's
No,
up?
you're good. I gotta head off in just a minute for some good old fire drills and investigation land. But
Okay, do
to,
your
to,
key takeaway before you go. You've
to
heard what
piggyback off of kind of the theme, everywhere in this world, it seems about clarity and regulation. Unfortunately, a lot of that is out of our control. It is in the powers to be, those who have been elected or appointed themselves wherever you live in the world. But what we can do is educate. And what I mean by that is a lot of people who don't know this space look at the price of cryptocurrency and that's all they know about it. They don't really understand the finite uses of a lot of projects out there and how it's easier to make payment methods or how to create art or how to do contracts and business on these chains, and that's there forever on the blockchain. So my big emphasis is just educate, and it's same with victims and scams and stuff like that. There's a lot of good groups out there, the Fraud Fight Club, Operation Shamrock, but we can't go around to every single community center in the world because there are millions, if not billions, and sit down with each individual and say, hey, watch this out for scams. So that's kind of when it comes upon us to take it to within our own homes and our own communities, and speak out and educate not those who are vulnerable, but also help our organizations, our leaders, our committees, our churches, things like that, to understand really that, yes, crypto is not perfect. There is no perfect financial tool out there. Everything has been exploited by illicit actors and it always will be. But that doesn't mean this can't be the future and there can't be a right and safe way to do it. So that is my spiel. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for your time. Okay, we're going to hear from Adila, then we hear from Georgette and Trisha, and then we come back to Chris and the discourse continues. Adila, quickly, please.
Absolutely. So, kind of like what Adam said, I'm looking at this from a practicality standpoint. In the United States, we know that it's practical already to utilize cryptocurrency. That's why you have BlackRock trading over $750 billion worth of shares in the EFT space for those EFTs that have been approved in Bitcoin. And then same for Ethereum. So we know that practicality already exists in this market, and we've already seen the proof of concept there. But my concern mainly is for organizations to understand that there is a significant, they have to play catch up with infrastructure. Infrastructure, I would say across the board, and that's just not just United States, everywhere. It doesn't quite exist to be able to run and implement these types of systems, and to be able to do it in a congruent fashion without being half-willed with it. You would have to do major updates to all countries for infrastructure.
Adila, I have a question on top of that question that you're answering right now. When you say infrastructure, in my mind, I'm thinking not all infrastructure is equal. So infrastructure, let's say in Abu Dhabi, and
5G network,
in
they
a
have
small
it.
country in Africa is not the same, is it?
5G networks, not just high-speed internet anymore, but can we support huge data models? Can everybody move data at a quantum speed, like an IBM machine? Do we have the infrastructure yet? That's the question that most should be asking themselves before diving into it, because we won't be able to keep up with the rest of the world if that foundation isn't poured. And then on top of that foundation lies practicality. And then comes in the trust to be able to utilize. Well, trust comes before, but it's all interweave into the same life cycle. You have to be able to have the foundation to build these systems out so that they could be practical. And I think that's the separation and the problem. For AI and blockchain in itself, you have to have the ability to build the foundation to be able to implement these systems.
Thanks, Adila. Georgie, so let me just nuance your question. Georgie, you come from three very unique jurisdictions. So you
Yeah.
have and I looking at three different countries. You are in the Middle East, where
Yeah.
things are really way advanced. Then you have the UK footing as well, where things are somehow somewhere there. And then you have St. Lucia, where
Yeah.
we don't know Wagwan. So,
Yeah.
as an expert with three different jurisdictions, what's your take on this?
Yes, brilliant question, Brian. And also from the perspective of a legal and compliance person, I will answer that question. So first, I resided in the UK, and that is where I started my interest in crypto and fintech. At that time, the UK seemed to be very crypto friendly, and there was talk about regulation. But slowly, the regulator was very slow to approve applications, and there was this sort of lagging behind. Naturally, as innovation is quite progressive and ideas move very quickly, people are looking for jurisdictions that provide clarity, that are looking for their business. So the Caribbean is normally an offshore jurisdiction where a lot of companies set up shop because of the ease of doing business, the cost and everything else. So we've seen the Caribbean, for instance, the BVI, the Bahamas, and countries set regulation and have attracted a lot of big businesses to allow for operations in the sector. Then we've seen countries like St. Lucia, who passed a regulatory bill and then an act in 2022, which was more or less a deterrent, as opposed to encouraging business. And that was just to say, well, we have regulation. You cannot just set up and operate. You need to be registered to provide services. So it was more of some like a protective mechanism. However, I've heard and I've seen that this year they've passed regulations and they're now trying to take it further in terms of providing more clarity as to how to get licensed. Interestingly, 2 years ago, I moved to the UAE. And the reason I moved to the UAE, just as many people were, was because the UAE was providing clarity with regards to regulation. And actually, they were creating an ecosystem. So we have the ADGM, the Abu Dhabi Global Market, which is one of the two financial regulators here, who was the first regulator to provide regulation in this space. So any proper company, any proper institution who wanted to be regulated looked to the UAE to set up. Then we have VARA, which is the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority in Dubai, which is the only regulator set up to provide regulation and clarity for businesses in the world. And that regulator works very closely with the federal bank and other, federal organizations. So there are 5 regulators right now regulating the space. And the reason why they've done that is to understand that the technology is quite fascinating and it's not going anywhere. And they want to attract talent and business, and it has helped. So we've seen a lot of regulations around consumer protection. So where certain jurisdictions, for instance, might not have any sort of regulatory fallback if you were to get scammed, there are clear regulations here which allow you to recover your assets, but it also makes sure anybody who's providing services to residents from in the country and from the country follow regulations. There are very high capital requirements in terms of who you hire as well. KYC, ML, financial crime. The regulation is robust and it keeps changing.
Right.
So for me, wearing that hat, I've seen jurisdictions which have gone the opposite way, and I've seen jurisdictions who have kept up with the pace of what's happening, and it's fascinating. There are crypto banks here which support the ecosystem because sometimes you get regulation, but you don't get an ecosystem to support it. There's infrastructure, they're attracting talent here. There's venture capital as well. This place is booming. And for me, as a regulatory and compliance person, it is a place to be.
Wow.
However, naturally, as a St. Lucia, and naturally as somebody who wears various hats, I'm also seeing how I could use this knowledge that I have to help countries like St. Lucia, like regulators like St. Lucia, who have expressed interest in learning more. So I could waffle a lot about this, Brian. But what I would say to anybody who's looking to enter the space, or if you're looking to engage a company for services, I would start at looking where that company is located, where they're registered. You don't want to be working with a shell company so that you don't know where to find them if anything went wrong. You need to look at the T's and C's. You need to see if the company is regulated for the services they provide. Some companies are technology companies and they don't need to be regulated. Some companies hold assets and they custodize your funds, your crypto, your money, and they need to be regulated so that you are safe. So I could waffle on and on, Brian, about this thing. So in terms of understanding, I would look at where the company is regulated, registered, their terms and conditions, who are the people behind them. And also, if you're looking for an ecosystem, if you want to set up a company, look at governments that support your growth and are forward thinking. So that's my answer in a nutshell.
Thanks, Georgie. That is fantastic. Now we're gonna move to Trisha real quick, and then we move over to Chris and Nino, because Nino, please put your camera on. Nino. Nino sits in Spain, and he's from Hawaii, and he's moving to South
Korea
now. And
Yes.
he has some ideas as well to share with us in terms of the ecosystem. So, Trisha, are you there, or do we pass over to Chris quickly?
Yes, I'm here.
Trisha, what's happening in Barbados?
Well, recently there was a law firm who would have said that she successfully assisted an insurance company with using Bitcoin. And I think it was about $40 million. They were able to get $40 million in funding through Bitcoin. So that seems to be, and and that company does have a license under the Financial Services Commission. So there seems to be some progress here in Barbados. I also saw, not in Barbados, but in Nigeria, that cryptocurrency seems to have been accepted as a security based on legislation that was recently enacted. So there seems to be some growth, and people seem to be warming up to the idea of cryptocurrency and blockchain overall.
Thank you very much, Trisha. That was informative. Chris.
Well, I'm from the US, and the US is a mess. It has been for a long time. One of the that's the simple version. I'm done. No. So well, the reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of people here also looking for other ways to get into crypto, right? I realized early on that my business may not work out, but I could always contribute to shaping and changing legislation and regulation. You don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to have a doctorate. You don't have to be a politician. You have to be a concerned citizen with a voice who's not afraid to stand up and tell people what you think. Talk to your legislators, talk to the people who make the laws. I testified in California against a really bad cryptocurrency bill about Bitcoin ATMs. And I know there was other people on the call earlier talking about Bitcoin ATMs as a bad thing, and sometimes they can be. But again, if we're singling out specific within an industry and making it more difficult for a non-custodial operator, right, than we are for like a Coinbase, we're having double standards. Okay. But one of the things I really want to mention is something new that's coming out that people are starting to work on is a victims fund. Okay. So the problem in the United States, at least, is that victims of financial crime are not really considered victims from the standpoint that, sure, like the police will help you if they can or whatever, but there's no additional victim services. So you only get help for victim services if you're a victim of a sexual crime, like a sexual abuse crime, or a violent crime, right? So like if someone loses all of their money through a scam, there is no additional financial help. But if you were beaten up, like, and robbed, like, there are funds in certain states that will actually give you money to help pay your rent because you can't go to work or whatever. You're in the hospital, pay your hospital bills. Like, there isn't anything like this, right? But maybe there'd be funds for someone to help get additional mental health services and things like that. So just also as you're building these laws and these regulations, and I also posted like the original template law of like across the US that was originally drafted so that there would be at least common language. So that's something to at least look at. Take the pieces that you like, you know, swap out things that don't work or have changed over time. But the other thing I want to bring up on legislation, which because I'm not from law enforcement, right? I come from the private sector, was I didn't understand the process of like asset forfeiture and how many hoops they have to jump through to try to get recovery. So like in a lot of states, or even federally, they have to have a person that's been convicted of something in order to like seize the funds, at least at the state level. So it becomes very difficult because you may not get a conviction of a person, but you know that the money's sitting on an exchange, and local law enforcement can't go get it because the way the laws are written, right? They have to try to get the FBI, the Homeland Security, Secret Service. They have to try to get a federal agency to do it. And sometimes that can take longer because they have to use these MLATs, which the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty that the United States has with other countries. So it's more bureaucracy, more red tape, it takes longer to process. So think about the whole path. Don't just think about the businesses. Think about the victims. Think about the law enforcement side about how they can get the money back. Because we printed so much money in the United States and then we just let it go. We just letting people get scammed. We just, hey everybody, here's free money. And if we're like, oh, we're not going after it because it's only 100K. Yeah, but we're losing like what was that, 4 billion, right? And that's just the reported amounts. It's probably a lot more than that, to be honest.
Right.
So those are my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So, Palesa, and I've added a student to this call, Lorna. Lorna is from Joburg, South Africa, somewhere in South Africa. Lorna, you and Palesa are literally within the same region. Quickly, if you guys in 1 minute each or less, just tell us what's happening there, and then we start wrapping up because we are getting short of time, and Nino still has to say what's happening in his jurisdiction. And to wrap up, he still has to tell us about the ideathon as well. So Palesa, quickly, what's happening in Lesotho, and Lorna, what's happening in South Africa? So Palesa, I'll start with you.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I hope you can
Much
hear me
better,
better now.
Palesa.
Okay, great. All right. Like I mentioned earlier, like in our first sessions, Lesotho, we're nowhere. We're like last on the line. As I mentioned that our central bank did say it doesn't recognize cryptocurrency as a foreign currency or as a legal tender at all. So it just gave out some warnings, and that was it. Basically, it just told the population of Lesotho that, okay, even if you engage with cryptocurrency, just know that there's no protection. If you lose your funds, it's on you. You cannot come back to the banks and say that you've lost your money. So that's basically it. But then this does not in any way protect Basotho from falling victims of scams, of course. So we've been like, there's been a lot of people who've been falling for this pig butchering, all kinds of crypto scams in Lesotho. The pyramid schemes, you name them all. And this actually came as a result of lack of awareness. People don't understand what cryptocurrency is and how it works. So this actually made them to be exposed to the scams, of course. With regard to regulations, we don't have any regulations currently. We don't have any vast regulations at all, and they're not even been licensed, obviously. So it says like Favor said, they're collecting our data here, and we don't even know where these companies are or what they're doing with that data. You understand? So there's actually nothing with regard to protection of Basotho's data. Now, I think earlier there was this question that how are our courts dealing with this cryptocurrency issue in Lesotho? I believe that one of the problems is that even our law enforcement, our policemen don't understand this cryptocurrency, basically. They don't. So even if a person loses their funds, regarding the tracing of that funds, they're not even aware of how blockchain technology can actually help in aiding to the recovery of that cryptocurrency. So not to take much time, let me just say, yeah, that's basically what's happening in Lesotho.
Thanks, Palesa. Lorna, do you have something to say about South Africa? Or you're having load shedding? Load shedding is power outages in South Africa. Guys, just a quick announcement, yeah? If you guys remember when we had the session by Rob and Scott last week on asset recovery, does anybody remember that session? Even panelists? Adila, you remember that session? Devon, remember? Palesa? So this week, Rob has literally used XRP Ledger today to serve a court document on somebody using the XRP Ledger. Guys, literally, these are both entities that we're working with on this bootcamp, yeah? And this XRP Ledger is what you guys are being taught, yeah? I'm literally reading out LinkedIn right now. So this is not a small thing, yeah? Take this thing serious. So this is the second service Rob has done using NFT. He used the first one in Lavinia's case in 2022. Lavinia was in this bootcamp as well. So these are real things happening with real changes. Nino, you're going to address that further in your ideathon thing. So just tell us what's popping in Spain and Korea and all, and then we take takeaways from our panelists, and then we deal with our internal housekeeping matters, because I know Palesa wants to crack the whip on some students as well.
So as far as Spain goes and at Korea, I don't know. But as far as fifth work goes, to give you guys a quick explanation of who I am, I run an online school and we micropay all of our students based on how well they do in a class. So if you take a class, there's a certain reward associated with that class. Like that we used to work with the Bitcoin Association, they would pay $10 for people to learn about Bitcoin. And if they scored 100% on the test, the students would actually earn that $10. So that's how we operate our business. Well, naturally, we get a lot of parasitic students where you actually have people coming to the class trying to milk the system, take as many classes as they can. Can they generate fake emails? And it's actually been, I want to bring it back to the ideathon, which is, for those that don't know, you're submitting an idea, you're creating an idea that addresses a problem in your area, in your community, and how you're applying blockchain to fix it. So like we do education and we're applying blockchain to improve education, solve a problem in your community. That's what the ideathon is. I wanted to say that not all fraudulent activity is a bad thing from a owner's perspective, because what it allows me to do is it allows me to see their tactics, it lets me see how they're moving the money, how they're getting it, what they're doing with it, and lets me analyze it for fractions of a penny. And I can actually build security into my application to defeat that and to combat that, like a simple CAPTCHA. If they're starting to generate emails over and over again, or just making it a little bit more difficult to create accounts, or not all fraud. I mean, all fraud is bad, but it doesn't have to actually hurt you in a way if you can limit the impact the fraud can have to you. So I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I don't have a lot of time, but we have used it beneficially for our company. We've probably lost $10 max to fraudulent activity, but we've been able to build quite a bit of security into our platform because of it.
Thanks.
We did not report it, so that's part of the $10 that doesn't get reported.
Thank you, Nino. So let's do our quick takeaways, and then Palesa, you'll stick around uh, for the ideathon debrief because tomorrow is the last day of boot camp. Literally, guys, today is day 9 of the boot camp. Tomorrow is day 10. Like we've had about 40 world renowned experts coming on this bootcamp, like from all corners of the world. Yo, like this is no small thing. Devon, you always say that this is no small thing. So really, we're so grateful. So Chris, let's start with you. And this thing about divorce matters you've mentioned. Proper foresight. Yo, bless you, man. Okay, your takeaway, Chris.
Well, I don't know how divorce works in other countries, but we're starting, just start to think about this, right? If you look at the future, crypto's not going away, right? But what happens every year? The divorce rate stays the same, just about. So every year that goes by, more people start to acquire crypto. And then at a certain point, they get divorced. So right now, we've been targeting a lot of family law offices, specifically doing outreach, because we know that forensic accountants really don't have this specialty yet, right? And some of them have said they see cases where these victims, or the not the victims, but the divorce in the divorce proceedings, that it's pretty straightforward, right? Like they don't need an expert because husband was buying on Coinbase and it was pretty simple. You can see it and all the money's still there because he didn't take it out. That's an easy one. That's easy to split in half, right? But it's when who's hiding this? Where's that? I know they talked about it. They said we had $1 million, and now they're saying we don't have it. We only got 100 grand, or they only got 50 grand, like, or the or the Coinbase account has 0, right? So like, where are they hiding it, right? People think that no one's gonna find this crypto. They don't, because they don't know how it works either, right? Just because you swap it, just because it goes to an exchange, just because you send it to a darknet market. In the US, at least, assets like this are, if you cannot prove how you used shared marital assets, you have to pay it back. So talk to the people in your country about like how divorce works. Find that nuance, right? And then exploit that for your clientele. We do the tracing as well. So we can stand behind what we actually deliver into a court and then testify if we need to. But the funny thing is, because the blockchain don't lie, right? It's there
Blockchain don't
forever.
lie.
Blockchain don't lie, right? So like it's there, and like when the other party sees it and they go and they're like, oh shit, they know all the things that we've been doing with, right? They can see it all. Guess what? They're not gonna keep battling this in court. They're gonna settle because they know that the blockchain is not something I made up. It's not my opinion.
Yeah.
Anybody can confirm the data. It's public data,
That's
right?
right.
So that's just something to think about. This is where there's going to be a big area around the world. So
Thanks, Chris. Trisha, quick takeaway. Georgette is already in tomorrow because she's in Abu Dhabi, and she's already in tomorrow. So let's make it quick for Georgette's sake, please.
A quick takeaway for me is learning about how crypto assets could be traced and what the panelists would have said just now about targeting family lawyers and I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was very interesting how he spoke about helping to assist in tracing cryptocurrency and what mechanisms are there in case it's stolen and so on. So I think that was the biggest one for me. That was the biggest takeaway for me.
Thanks, Trisha. Bless you. Tibet.
Hi guys. I think my biggest takeaway for everyone is don't fight regulation. Regulation is important for all of us. I think one funny or interesting thing that's happening in Kenya within the community here is we have a lot of people who are afraid of regulation, who are trying to lobby against regulation without understanding fully all the protections it will give everyone. And there's actually a case, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bitco, it's one of the largest manufacturers in Kenya. A few months ago, the CEO was convinced by friends to spend, to give away like $2 million in cash in exchange for stable coins. It didn't go well. He ended up losing the money and he created a whole thing. So he took these guys to court, and the defense they used in court was this guy was basically trying to circumvent the prescribed traditional finance channels that I don't know, because crypto is still unregulated despite the fact that we have a vast bill on the table. So it created a lot of problems. The fact that this big, huge, globally renowned person lost $2 million because of crypto created a lot of issues. And it's important for us to be pro-regulation because it's a win for all of us.
And Chebet, that case is in Kenyan courts.
It is in courts. Cliff Umbetta. I'm sure you know Cliff Umbetta is
Oh,
the
yes,
defense.
yes, the criminal lawyer. Okay, cool. Let's share with me that link. It sounds interesting to read. And, you know, Georgie and I, we are right around the corner. We can always jump on a flight there to become expert witnesses as we enjoy the sunshine of Mombasa as well. UK real cold, you know. Okay. Adila, quick takeaway.
A mouse. So my takeaway is, moreover, as students begin to evaluate how they're going to penetrate the world of digital assets, some things to keep in mind are some of the gray areas that was mentioned today, one of which by Chris, he talked about how divorce is going to start taking shape. I heard earlier also how payment systems are getting ready to get on par because we have tariffs implemented now in the United States, and those tariffs are going to affect some of our countries that we do business with. They're going to be looking for more cross-border opportunities, and that's going to enable more fraud detection and more security around our payments if they're utilizing digital assets. So these are emerging opportunities, but those emerging opportunities carry risk. And if you think about every place in the world where business is being done, we know for a fact that a business is going to somehow bubble back up to being done and obviously in a digital space, but they're going to be utilizing more digital assets to do business with. So there's a place for everybody. There's no, I would say there's no space running out as far as opportunity. It's just a matter of what you want to do and how you want to get into the opportunity.
Adila, thank you very much. As always, superstar. So, Adila, you and I are gonna link up after this thing, yeah? So I'ma holla at you. Georgie, quick takeaway, please.
Yes, so I think you need to sit down and assess what your interest is in the space. So whether you're a consumer who just wants to understand or you want to invest, whether you are an innovator where you have a brilliant idea and you want to take it to the market, or whether you want to be in enforcement or in risk, in legal and compliance, and you want to add some sort of, structure to the ecosystem. So I guess you've heard from different aspects. You've seen the innovators, you've seen the technology, the tools, and the innovation is so fast. Like stuff that was created last year is now outdated, and regulators are trying to keep up. And naturally, there are people who try to scam and be fraudulent because something is new and bright and people are not quite sure. So I think be cautious, be prudent. If you're not sure if something seems too good to be true, do your homework, educate yourself, and speak to experts in the field. I think it's very important. I think, as I said before, if you're going to put your money in any venture, know where they're located, know where you could find them, understand. Because even, for instance, your country doesn't have a regulation to protect you. Potentially, if you know where the company is, you can go to their regulator or their jurisdiction to actually try to recover your assets, because they will be somewhere. Unless they're nowhere, and that's the issue as well. So that's my takeaway.
Thanks, Georgie. Georgie, bless you. Georgie, we actually release you and tell you good night because we know
Thank you.
you're tired as hell. Yo,
I
Georgie,
am.
pick up later. Pick up
Thank
yourself.
you.
Okay, now we're going to have our final takeaway for the night before we go into the ideathon session. Students, please stick around because Nino and Palesa always have something for you about this. So this is my big uncle, Devon, about to drop it.
There you go. Oh man, he's too much. I think in closing, as we close out today, the real ground truth, honestly, isn't just regulatory clarity, right, guys? It's the integrity of how we build it. Throughout today, you know, we've touched on everything from decentralized risk to fragmented U.S. regulations, even to DOA governance and certain audits that exploit certain things. We have to realize this: we're designing a new financial, technological, and social infrastructure. What that means is that basically infrastructure without built-in safeguard will collapse, not just under regulatory pressure, but under the weight of a real-world consequences for users, consumers, and entire communities, as we've been discussing today, right? So in the US, consumer protection is the nice to have, it's a regulatory baseline. We've seen that throughout the recent actions from the SEC enforcements of certain things of how they're trying to play right now. So we need to take heed to that and take that as a caution, because at the end of the day, innovation without integrity is just noise, but innovation with integrity, that's a legacy. So remember that, guys.
Yo, I have to ask you, man. Like, I have to ask you, where do you write this shit down, bro? Like,
I told you I'm a poet, man. I like to
this
write,
guy
but you know,
is
you put me
always
on
on
Front Street all
point,
the time,
yo.
bro.
Like, Devon is always on point. Yo, bro, stop that, cut that. Yo, so that was the guest lab and that was the instructor session. So we are really grateful, guys. Tomorrow is the last day of term, so see everybody there. Now, Palesa and Nino and myself are gonna stick around with the students just to discuss any questions you have regarding the ideathon. Princess Basse, I see you have your hand up. You can ask a question. Potentially, some of the panelists are still around. If it involves them, they could help you. If it doesn't, it's fine. We can try help you as well. So, do you want to ask that question real quick? Because it's almost 10, it's heading to 10 here. I need to head out as well.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's night here. My name is Princess Basi, and I would say that I'm so excited that I stayed till this time. I'm a lawyer, and I have a background in corporate law and intellectual property as well. I recently did my Web3 journey last year, I think. And one of the places that I really got a foundation, no long thing. I know I didn't write the exam because I was caught up with work at the time, but I said I was come back this year. First of all, thank you everyone that has put this together, particularly all these experts speaking to us. It's not easy because in Nigeria here, there's not, I mean, there's some level of work, but it's not as expansive as what we get to listen to on this bootcamp. Actually, it's not a question, but I want to speak to all the students here. I'm going to stand on what Chris has said. Web3 is not going anywhere. This is the era we are in. This is the new world order. So please don't be discouraged. Try as much as possible. Keep reading. Keep listening to these experts. I have followed everybody on the panel. I'm going to keep following your work. I'm going to keep learning. And sooner than later, who knows? It'll be 2 years from now. Also, we're on that experts panel as well. But basically, guys, please don't give up. Connect with each other. Try to learn as much as you can. This is a very big opportunity. We are at the forefront of this new world order, and I'm so happy to be here. Big up to everyone. I have to steal the words of Brian.
No,
Thank
big
you
up
so much.
yourself. You know, let me tell you something, Princess. It's not gonna be a matter of years. that you'll be sitting in an expert panel. It could be in a matter of months. You see this Palesa, our Palesa right here? A month ago or so, she wasn't talking. She was shy. So when she joined us, she was real shy, timid. We told her, yo, listen, you're gonna start talking. In fact, we're gonna throw you into a conference in Kenya. Chebet was hosting a conference in Kenya, and Palesa and Devon were representing us at that conference. And she started her journey, and every day she's talking. So, Princess, you and Favor and Trisha, you've been doing excellent work. When we're having our
Thank you so much.
Mondays monthly webinars, we're going to invite you. It's not a matter of time. It's actually potentially probably a matter of weeks. Okay.
Sorry, I just have to chip in. Seeing Palesa and Favor on the panel is like my biggest inspiration tonight because we started together. It's really
Literally.
amazing, you guys. You have no idea how thrilled I am. It's possible. We can do it.
So here it's no long thing. We don't waste time. We are building futures. And once you're in Nigeria and there's a Crypto Mondays Nigeria, do your thing. And you know there's a big strong community there. Nino has strong ties in Nigeria as well. And Nino put us on to Nigeria as well. So Nino, big up yourself. We're gonna do things and we're gonna give people the gift and power they have in themselves to exploit and to exploit it. Okay. So big up yourselves. Nino and Palesa, do you want to wrap up this ideathon thing real quick so that we call it a night as well?
So I've spoken
Yeah.
on. Oh no,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
You know, ladies first. Ladies
Yes, of
first.
course.
Okay, Palesa. Okay, do your thing. Okay, Palesa, let's go. And take the question from Rashid.
All right.
Hey, lady, listen. Lady, take the question from Rashid and then ladies go ahead.
Okay. Rashid, we're listening. What would you like to say? Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Rashid, please, let's watch the clock, yeah? Your hand is up. Okay, Palesa, continue with the wrap up then.
Okay, I just want to remind my students, what a wonderful thing. Remember, like we've always been saying, try to look at your community and try to find a problem that's workable using blockchain technology. It doesn't matter even if you have a background in coding. Remember this, it doesn't matter. So give yourself a chance and don't undermine yourself. You probably come up with an awesome idea, a winning idea. So remember, we have the first assessment, which is posting on LinkedIn or Instagram. You take the three pages, Crypto Mondays Africa, Crypto Mondays Caribbean, and Blockchain Lex Group. And then we'll have the second assessment, which will be the wrap-up of the week 2. The first one was week 1, and the second one will be the wrap-up of week 2, what you've learned within this week. And then we're gonna have the idea then, okay? So Nino, I'll hand over to you.
As Nino unmutes his mic, guys, what Palesa said is right. And Chris was right here. What did Chris say he was? He was a biologist or something. Devon, what was Chris? He was something like in the medical field. And look,
Genetics.
He was a what?
He said he was working in genetics.
No, in genetics.
Biotechnology.
Exactly. And now he's here, right? So it don't stop, guys. It don't stop. Nino, over to you, please.
So I've talked about what the ideathon is. I've talked about the criteria about it, what questions we need you to ask. I've told you it's open format, but I didn't tell you that you need to email me your submission. It's admin@fifthwork.com. All of you should have that email. Most of you were invited by me to this class. So you should have that email. If you don't, I'll type it right now in the chat. But please, I only have like 10 submissions right now, and there's a lot more people than that in this class. So it's admin@fifthwork.com. I just changed my keyboard and it is a nightmare. I can't type. It's the on-screen one and it's not working. There we go.
The deadline has to be this weekend, Tabitha, because graduation is
Yes.
Monday. So unless you guys want us to defer graduation, which doesn't work for other people's schedules, because we have experts coming in to talk to you on Monday, graduation day, like top ranking experts as well. We really can't switch it. So you either make it or you don't. Now, last year we graduated 600 students. Not last year. Was it last year, Palesa? October, right? We
Yeah,
graduated.
it's last year.
Yeah.
Last year, October.
Yeah, we gave out 600 NFT certificates. You can go and find them on the internet. Some of you were in that class. Trisha, Palesa, who else? Favor.
Favor, yeah.
Yeah, you were in that class last year and you got your NFT certificates, didn't you? Now, this year, it doesn't matter if we graduate 600 or 6 people, our mission continues, and the only person losing or deceiving is yourself, because we want to take people to the real world to make real change. So you ask yourself, am I ready for this responsibility? That's literally my 2 cents for now. So Nino, you can continue.
Yeah, there were some other things. So we had some questions coming back, some feedback through the emails. If you already have a solution, that's great. You can submit that. The intellectual property stays yours. I'm not asking for anything in return at this point. But no, realistically, this is not a class. This is a real world exercise. This is you applying what you're learning to your life or your community in some meaningful way. And we just want to see that our return on investment is this in this whole program right now is that you are growing, that you are learning, that you are impacting your communities in some meaningful way. That is the goal. So if you already have a platform, if you already have a solution and you just want help, that's fine. You can submit that. Explain what your problem is, how you're going to apply blockchain technology, why we should help you, why you're the person that, should be backed, and, we should put you in the race, like you're the one that we are going to support, that we're going to put our resources behind. So that's really what this ideathon is. And I know it is a requirement to get the certification to actually pass the class. And I understand that it feels like school, but it's more than that. The whole reason that we're doing this is to help you grow. We want to see that you're growing. That's ultimately what it is. Also, I did want to say, please don't submit real estate, tokenizing real estate. Please don't submit that. That's a very common theme. If it's something we've talked about in class, don't submit that as an idea. Please identify something unique. It could be your workplace. It could be completely, it's not going to make sense. How do I say this? You need to submit something that is yours. That's what's important. Apply some critical thinking, find a problem in your community, solve that problem, at least theoretically, and then tell yourself whether you should or should not get after it. That's what the ideathon is. Please submit the response to admin@fifthwork.com. Any format, could be a video, could be the PDF that I sent out, could be a Word document, could be whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be English.
Yeah.
It's whatever you feel comfortable in.
Thanks, Nino. And thanks everybody. Yo, and like I think in this class, the people here, like these are our regulars, and I have confidence in our regulars, and I know you all are gonna succeed. You have the motivation and the impetus. So let's get it done. Guys, tomorrow is the last day of term. So let's link up, same place, same time, and let's build greatness, okay?
Deadline. Deadline. Did you want to do Sunday?
Sunday noon UK time.
When does who's our NFT certificate person? When does she need to know it by?
So the NFTs will have to be done in the course of the week, So we'll graduate people, we're gonna give them interim certificates, and then because the last time what happened is we gave her names for the NFTs, and then some people came back, they want changes on their names and all that. And you see, once the NFT is on chain, is on chain. So, and it cost her gas fees, okay? So she said this time around she wants things to be proper because
Okay.
she don't want to burn her money
So we can
again.
do the deadline Sunday. So
Yeah, so
that's
Sunday
I want to give you guys as much time as possible to tease out a good idea that is yours.
yeah.
That's what I want.
Someone here needs a clarification. Lawal, Nigeria. I need more clarification on the elevator pitch part of the ideathon doc.
Okay. You and I get into an elevator. You've got about 10 floors to explain to me who you are, what you want, what the problem is that you're trying to solve. That's what an elevator pitch is. So these questions that I've given you up until that are designed to help you tease out what it is you need to say, what is important to say in that time. That's what an elevator pitch is. During this video at one point, there was a couple elevator pitches already that just came out naturally. That's going to happen. You're going to be at a conference. You're going to meet Brian like I did. I'm going to tell him who I am. It's an elevator pitch. And then here we are, 2 years later, and we're running this program.
Yeah.
So it's you need to know who you are, what you bring to the table, and you need to be able to sell yourself quickly.
And then Nino, just to add on that, and the good thing Devon is still here, and Adila as well is still here. Like what Devon had with Adam, like it just flowed naturally, and Devon is like, I like that. I want to work with you. Like there wasn't even a pitch. Like it was like, the Devon, if you want to explain what happened in that moment, like it just
Yeah,
clicked.
yeah, sometimes you have to be very self-aware of when you know synergy is there. And synergy was completely there. I saw where they could add value to me in their space, and I saw where I can add value to them in their space. So that's where that synergy comes, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you are collaborating with somebody, that you can truly contribute to push the needle or push the initiative or the mission forward. And that's what I want to do. When it comes to other things outside of, assisting to help push the needle forward, those things will come. But focus on being part of the infrastructure that we've been talking about today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. I think what we've dropped here enough gems for the night. Let guys go think, percolate on their thoughts, and it is what it is. Okay? Cheers, guys. Big up yourself.